Unfortunately, I'm more convinced than ever, and I already was convinced, but it's even more so now that Dylan was involved with the Idaho 4 murders. And I realize that that's a difficult thing, and you're going to hate me for saying it. Some of you knew that was coming anyways, but in the new Idaho State Police documents that have been released, it becomes more and more clear. There is no way around it, in my opinion, and let me show you why. Now, some of us have already been experiencing some document fatigue with the Moscow Police Department, 314 police reports that were redacted. Now, Idaho State Police have come out with 600 pages or so, a little bit less than 600 pages, I believe, of their own redacted documents and police reports related to the Idaho murders. And I thought to myself, I don't know if I can do another 19 hours of breakdown, but I'm going to go ahead and start the process and we'll see how far we go. Because right when I got into the first few pages, I thought to myself, well, there you fucking go. There you go. That's the shit that I've been waiting for. That's the proof that I wanted. Okay. Proof is a little bit hard. Let's backpedal that just a little bit. There's the pieces I was looking for in this document. Let me break it down. Now I'm going to start at page 1. It's going to take a few pages to get into the meat of this particular part 1 episode, which is Dylan's first interview that's recorded by Idaho State Police. I don't know if it's the first interview, but it's the first one recorded by the state police. Oh my God, blows my mind. There's a few things that blow my mind a little bit, a few shockers. Oh my God, Brent Kopacka is coming into the picture, in my opinion, in my own shocking conclusion. So let me state a few things really quickly. Everything you're hearing right now is not news. It is not factual. It is for entertainment purposes only. I'm giving my opinions and my analysis of my feelings about the documents that have been released in the Idaho 4 case. It is not accusations, so please do not say that I'm slandering anyone and that I'm besmirching someone's reputation, because what I'm telling you is what I think, and I'm allowed to have opinions. So I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm going to give you my opinions about Brent Kopacka and how he got involved in that situation. My strong feeling. I already had that feeling. Now I have more of a feeling, and the cementing in my mind that Dylan Mortensen was involved in that murder. And again, now she's raised over $100,000 and something, and it's horrible. I realize friends and family of Dylan might stumble across this video, and they're going to hate me, and they're going to try to line up to sue me. I can't say it any more ways than I can say it right now. This is all rumor and allegations and speculations. It is not factual. I'm not telling you this is what happened. I'm giving you opinion, and I'm allowed to have an opinion. So for the last time, what you're hearing here is not facts, but opinion. So let's get into my shitty ass opinion, which is like an asshole. Everybody has one and they all stink, although mine's going to stink a little less than somebody else's. So let's just go and I'll kind of share it with you. I'm going to bring up on screen the documents and show you what I'm going to break down. We're talking now. First of all, kudos to Idaho State Police for having really cool police reports with color. It's like not as boring to read. But we're gonna start to get to know a little bit of these officers' names and the Idaho State Police. We're gonna break down some big issues. And so I'm gonna read through the highlighted sections. I have over highlighted a few things because I think it's necessary for us to go through and get that repeated narrative of what happened that night. What happened? Freaking Dylan's drinking supposedly started on the 11th. The murders were on the 13th. When they talked about when she started drinking that night on the 12th, she's like, actually, I started drinking on the 11th. So yeah, she might have been horrendously hammered, although there's a real problem with that when she can tell you the details of the Vampire Diaries episode that she's watching. So if she can remember with accuracy, and that's the question, with accuracy, the Vampire Diaries episode, then how can she not remember everything else because she's been drinking for 2.5 days? All of it stinks to high heaven. It's bullshit. The whole story's bullshit. And I'm going to point out where I tell you I think it's 100% bullshit. Here we go. We're going to first get introduced to Jeffrey Talbot from Idaho State Police. This is the report dated 11/13, and again, murders on 11/13. So this is this report was written apparently the day of the murders, and we're not getting into the Dylan stuff yet. This is a little bit early for that. This is the day of the murders, and we're going to talk about how it was approved. This one was approved on the 17th. Now, here's the summary of the narrative. On November 13th, 2022, Moscow Police Department requested Idaho State Police District 2 investigations to assist with multiple person homicide located at 1122 King Road residence, Latah County, Idaho. ISP, Idaho State Police Detective Jeffrey Talbot was assigned as lead. So here we go. All right. that was just kind of giving you some highlight about the lead investigator. That's the most thing. That whole thing is kind of independent, right? That is Jeffrey Talbot, the lead. Now we're going to get into this report by James Millar, or Millar. I'm going to say Millar. Is it Millar? Millar. We're going to say Millar. Fuck me on my pronunciations. Okay, here we go. Pardon the F-bombs. It's a little early for F-bombs. Those are coming later. A little early for F-bombs. Let's go. On November 16th. So this is a report date from the 17th about the 16th. So a few days after the murder, 3 days after the murder. On November 16th, Idaho State Police detectives interviewed. Now, by the way, here's the problem with Idaho State Police's records. They redact everything of a person's name, not giving you the first and the last initials. We could figure out when Jack DeCour was being interviewed before because it said J blank D blank, and the size of the blank out would also let you know. Showalter's name, Jack Showalter, was more obvious because it was a longer last name, and you can get a J space S and whatever. And so you could here, fuck no, it's 100% redacted with no first and last names, making it much, much harder. However, there are clues to let us know what some of these people are for sure. So when I know for sure, such as Dylan's interview, I'll just say, that's Dylan. I have no fucking doubt it's Dylan. There's other times that I'm like not 100% sure. So I'll leave that as whoever's talking here. Now, some of us already know who it is, but I'm just going to go with I'm not 100% sure because I don't want to make that mistake. Anyways, going back to this, they have an interview with someone regarding multiple homicides which took place in Moscow, Idaho. And this interview is taking place at some place in Boise, Idaho, right? So a lot of these students would go home after break or whatever, and their homes would be in Boise, Idaho, or other places around Idaho, but they would come to Moscow to go to school and they go home again. So sometimes these interviews are happening because students have gone back home, or they're going back to their parents' place, or their interviews taking place at their parents' place. This is one of those kind of situations. Whoever this person is, it is. So here's the victims. We got a list. Look at all the pretty color. Nice job, guys, on the Idaho, on your system, whatever system you're using, and I'm sure other police departments use the same system. Nice color coding on this. So they've got the witness. This witness is a 22-year-old male, and there's another witness that is listed as a 23-year-old male. And so we're going to talk about, and they have a flash drive of the audio. So let's get into this particular one. On November 16th at approximately 3:16 p.m., this is 3 days after the murder, Idaho State Police Investigations Lieutenant Catlin and I interviewed some ass person, a male. The interview took place at his parents' house, located at some ass address in Boise, Idaho. And during the interview, this person stated the following. So we don't know who it is exactly. His residence, whoever this was, their residence at the school was someplace in Moscow, Idaho. This residence is approximately 200 to 300 feet from the homicide. This is somebody within walking distance, and you will find that this person was apparently enough of a suspect that they had to check him for wounds and they had to ask for a buccal swab. So that should, again, do they do that with everyone? Maybe, but just keep in mind, within walking distance. Now, of course, Hitler will tell you it can't be, and no one involved in the murder could have walked there because the killer arrived in a car. Anyways, I still can't say that without pissing him. Well, the killer arrived in a car, so no alternative suspects could have walked there. Fucking moron. Anyways, I hate to do that. Because maybe I would like Hitler. Maybe I would have a beer with Hitler. Not likely. But when I call him a moron, probably the chances of that ever happening are slim to none. But what else do you say about that shit? It had been a little nerve-wracking going outside of his apartment, this person said. He knew some of the homicide victims. He knew Maddie, aka Madison Mogan, and Xana Kernodle, and he had met Kaylee Gonzalez the night before the homicide. This person claims never have met Kaylee until that night. This is the same thing I think Jack Showalter said. So my first question was, is this Jack Showalter being interviewed? Because Jack Showalter said, hey, I didn't know Kaylee. I didn't even know her until that night, kind of thing. This is how it's kind of starting. I know Maddie. I don't know Kaylee. Is it the same person? This person will also, I think, tell you that they were seen in the grub truck video. We know that happened, but I don't know for sure. I shouldn't have even said Showalter's name because I don't know this is at all that individual. I should have just left it as we don't know, even though I had those questions. So follow the logic. All right. It's not important whether it is or not at this moment. All right. So he said he knew Maddie, he knew Xana. He had just met Kaylee that night before the homicide, but did not realize that she was one of the victims until later. He did not know the male victim, Ethan Chapin, apparently at all. At this point in the interview, by the way, the mother arrives and she's present for the remainder of the interview. So he had known Mogen since their freshman year, and they were in the same pledge class of fraternities and sororities on campus. Mogen had dated some of his friends and had positive interactions with someone's girlfriend, his girlfriend, in the past. So I think what it is Maddie had dated some of his friends and had interactions with his ex-girlfriend or his whatever. And he had classes with Mogen, and they had done homework together periodically. He and Mogen had a lot of friends in common as well. He supposed that he had met Gonsalves prior to the night, but he did not recall specifically. Again, this person is kind of friends, but not friends, has interactions, had classes with Maddie. That's how he knows Maddie. Let's continue on. He had never met Ethan Chapin. That's part of a line I don't have highlighted. Mogen was dating one of such and such fraternity brothers. This person, whom so-and-so believed lived in Boise, this person had spoken to someone earlier in the day on November 16th and said that so-and-so was a stand-up guy. Mogen's previous boyfriend was also one of blank's friends and is also a nice guy. He and Mogen were mostly just on and off friends. What kind of on and off fuck buddies? Is that a way? I'm just got on and off again fuck buddies, but it would say buddies, wouldn't it? Not friends. But why would they have the word something friends? I don't know. I digress. Saturday night, November 12th, and into Sunday morning, November 13th, at the end of the game day, people went out to the bars at the end of the game day, okay? So this person who's being interviewed ran into Mogen at the corner club. Mogen and Gonsalves were going to leave the bar to go to John's Alley. Right there, that's interesting to me. We know that the girls went to the grub truck. They were going to go to another bar. Were they bar hopping? Why, if, for example, the girls, according to this guy, if the girls were going to another bar, why did they not complete that bar hopping thing? Yes, they decided after they left going to John's, what the fuck did I say it was? John's Alley. As they were heading to another bar, John's Alley, they decided to go to the grub truck. That makes sense. But why did they not continue on? We'll go on with this. All right. So, and they had asked him essentially if he wanted to go with them. So again, what we do know is Showalter followed Maddie and Kaylee out of the corner club. That's on video. So again, when I start asking the question, is this Jack Showalter? Follow the logic. He claims the girls asked if he wanted to go with them. And indeed, we know Jack Showalter is seen leaving with Maddie and Kaylee from the corner club, walking to the grub truck. So it seems fairly logical. I'm just throwing it out there. On the way to John's Alley, Mogen and Gonsalves decided to get food at the grub truck instead. So maybe they were all heading to John's Alley together as a group, but the girls decided they wanted to go to the grub truck instead. This person, is it Showalter? I don't know. Was at the grub truck with them, but was hanging out in the back. That is also consistent with what we know in the video that Jack Showalter is hanging out on the back. So it sounds like it is. I know I'm beating the fuck out of it, but since they've redacted the piss out of it, I would hate for you guys to come on there and DA. Oh my God, dude, that's not Showalter. You idiot. That's so-and-so. But it seems to me this would be consistent with Showalter, but who knows? All right, so he's at the grub truck. We're hanging out in the back because he was not getting any food. Someone in a silver sedan picked up Mogen and Gonsalves. Now, the silver sedan is the part that I would say I'm giving you first blush impressions. And so I don't know if Eric Gower, the Uber driver that was not on duty that night and picked up the girls, does he drive a silver sedan? Here's the problem. Later on, an individual will say they think the same person who picked them up in the silver sedan, that car was outside of the house, parked there the day of the murders. So that makes it sound like it wouldn't be Eric Gower, right? Because with the silver, but maybe it's just, it is a car like it. By the way, if you can have a white Elantra look like 20,000 other white Elantras, why not a silver car that looks like another silver car? So these are questions on the back of my mind. If they got picked up by somebody in a silver car, one, I need to find out eventually, soon. Hopefully you tell me in the comments. Please tell me in the comments, did Eric Gower drive a silver sedan like he saw them getting picked up in? Or is the silver sedan somebody else's that was parked outside of the house still, and that's who drove the girls home? Which could have been, according to this, by the way, I know this is going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, could have been Xana and Ethan. Xana and Ethan allegedly at one point might have been the ones who picked up Kaylee and took them back to the house. That was stated by somebody. So was the car, again, is a silver sedan Ethan or Xana's car? So all of these questions, I don't remember who drives what car. I'm just giving you some initial thoughts, more than I expected to give you right now. I should have done the more due diligence, but this is rough stuff as we get to the Dylan shockers and the Brent Kopacka shockers, on my opinion. All right. So-and-so was at the grub truck with them and hanging out in the back. We talked about that. And he said that a silver sedan picks Mogan up and Gonzalez. He assumed it was one of their friends. Again, going back to someone said Xana and Ethan may have picked them up. He assumed that the driver was one of his friends. This person tells, I think maybe could be Showalter, told Mogan, have a good night. This person's designated driver's shift was already ended at approximately 2 a.m. And so because he had a good coat on, he walked home. So in other words, this person supposedly had a designated driver that was on call, but because it was after 2 a.m. at this point, this person walks home instead of getting a drive because he's got a good coat and he figures he'll walk home. So this explains why he just goes off camera and we don't see nothing about him. He thought it took him 20 to 30 minutes to walk home from the grub truck. He got home around 3 in the morning. So the girls got picked up right before 2 o'clock in the morning, I believe, wasn't it? So if it takes him 20 to 30 minutes to walk home, follow the logic. If it only takes him 30 minutes to get home and he left after the girls at 2 in the morning because they got home by 1:56 in the morning, supposedly, why does a 30-minute walk take you an hour to get home? He got home around 3 o'clock in the morning. Where's the extra 30 minutes? It's just questions, things that make you go, So is this person saying, hey, I left after the girls, takes me 20 to 30 minutes to get home, and I got home at 3 o'clock in the morning. Math doesn't add up at the moment for me. And then he went to bed. He then showed on a map the way that he walked home, and the way he described did not pass the residence or the homicide scene. That's very convenient. All right, so now we're going to this person's statement about Sunday, November 13th. He woke up around 10 a.m. to watch NFL football. He left his house and went to Floyd's, a dispensary across the border in Washington. I don't know about Idaho, but maybe Idaho doesn't have the cannabis laws that Washington State does. In Washington State, at that point, cannabis was legal. Floyd's is, I believe, a cannabis shop. So he's going to the cannabis shop in Washington, indicating to me that Idaho must not have legal cannabis like Washington State. Just FYI, it's an educational channel. I teach you things on here. So I'm guessing that's the case. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that's the case. Or it just happens to be that maybe Idaho does have cannabis, open cannabis, but it was closer to go to Floyd's. I'm thinking it's Washington State had open cannabis and not Idaho. In fact, I'm pretty sure. All right. He thought it was weird because he drove past the scene on his way to Floyd's, but didn't see any police or anything out of the ordinary. And so-and-so drove a such and such. Well, it's 10 a.m. The police didn't get called till around 11 a.m. So this is why there's no police there, even though he thought it was weird. That wasn't so weird. What's also possibly weird is that there wasn't anybody apparently milling around outside the house like Bethany and Dylan and so on, because that's the condition they were in when they called 911, is they're outside of the house. So maybe he just overlooked that the girls weren't outside. Are you following? It's not super important, but the reason why we're reading through these in detail is to get a picture of what happened that morning. This would indicate to me maybe the girls weren't outside yet at 10 o'clock in the morning. They were still inside. And I would argue there might be a reason why they're inside that Dylan might slip up on, but we'll talk about that later. During the morning, people called him to see if they knew what was going on down the street at the homicide scene. This person didn't believe them and walked outside to see. This person had to walk down the street to see the residents and the homicide scene. There was a rumor of an unconscious person, which seemed believable. During the group chat between the pledge classes from fraternities and sororities, kids realized that people were missing and something more than a person passed out might have happened. Most of the chats were via Snapchat, which basically is designed to hide your chat history from people, so that's convenient. Some of the family members of the victims started letting people know about the homicides before the news did. Now, what's not clear here is what the timing is on this, because they didn't even announce that people died for quite some time. So we don't know that he's getting this early or if his recollection of events is later. So we're just going to put that aside and not say it's an inconsistency. There's plenty of aha moments in this. We don't need to dwell on this one. Okay, so this person heard a lot of people were packing up and leaving. He felt jumpy even leaving his apartment and walking out to his car. He would be able to do his classes online, so he packed up the next morning, Monday, November 14th, and left. So again, I don't know that this is Jack Showalter, but rumor was that Jack Showalter quickly left town immediately after the murders. Is this that moment where he says, hey, I took off and left on the 14th? Now, that was the day after the murders, saying, yeah, I left town. A lot of people left town. But did he immediately leave town after the murders? Pretty close. The murders weren't discovered until afternoon of the 13th. By the next morning, he's gone. So, and again, I don't know that that's Showalter, so let's just break that down. Now, he had only been to the residence where the homicide took place maybe once, he said. When he did go there, he was pretty sure it was all different people living there. He heard there was a party there earlier that day that some of his friends went to. So again, when you talk about Ann Taylor and the alternative suspects list that she had, she listed people who had been to the house before. He says, yeah, I've been in that house before. So Ann Taylor said, 3 of the alternative suspects lived within walking distance. This person, 200 to 300 feet away from the house, within walking distance. Knew, according to Ann Taylor, the layout of the house. Hey, yeah, I've been in the house before. I know the layout of the house. That was another thing he admitted. So this was probably, in my opinion, one of Ann Taylor's alternative suspects, almost certain of it, but just letting you know. So now continuing on with his story, he states that so-and-so, or he went to the corner club by himself because he had friends who went there and worked there. Now, let me stop this for a moment. Maddie is a friend. Listen, Maddie is a friend of Showalter, it looks like. Maddie is also a friend of Adam, who worked the bar. Adam is good friends with Jack DeCour. That night, we know from various sources, including When the Night Comes Falling by Howard Bloom, and I realize you want to throw him out the fucking window and into a ditch, but Howard Bloom stated that Maddie spent most of the night talking to Adam about Kaylee's history and relationship, or whatever the fuck it was. In fact, later on, Kaylee will be leaving with Maddie and said, Maddie, what did you tell Adam? Wasn't that a good impression? That was not bad, was it? Maddie, what did you tell Adam? And she says, everything. That, I said, friends, is I said everything that happened in the house that night at 1122 King Road residence happened at that bar that night. That thing, I think the setup of things that happened that night probably happened at the bar that night. Jack DeCour was there at the bar, proven. Jack DeCour, ex-boyfriend of Kaylee Gonzalez, who many people want to say over and over again, they were cool. They had no problem. Jack knew she was banging a bunch of other guys. He knew it. It was okay with him. It was cool. He had moved on. My ass. I still believe there's documents that show he had mental problems with it. He was having a mental breakdown. That was later on. He would say, no, I never really had a mental breakdown. Somebody else reported he was having a mental breakdown. I don't think he was as cool about it as people think, but that's just my speculation. I'm an asshole. Oh yeah. Until we get to the point where someone says, boy, I don't know who could have murdered those people. I think it would have to be somebody who's in love with somebody. No fucking shit. Really? I thought some people have busted my DA. I think it's ridiculous that you think somebody would kill 4 people over a relationship just because somebody broke up with you. Shit, it's like the number one. Sorry, didn't mean to yell in the microphone. Warning, you should probably turn the headphones down when you listen to my show. Anyways, yes, murder often happens when you feel like your loved one has screwed you over and maybe like 5 other guys. Anyways, point being, I have a liar moment. Drove me into the arms of another man. 7, whatever. Sorry, that was just a freaking Jim Carrey freaking throwback movie thing. All right, so let's continue. Boy, I hope you get my pop references because I throw a lot of those random shit in there. So, anyways, he stated that he went by himself because he had friends who worked there. So this is where I'm saying, did Showalter? If this is Showalter, did Showalter know Adam? If he knows Adam, then he knows Jack. So is he not just friends with Maddie, but he's also friends with Adam and Jack? And the reason why I'm bringing that all up is we're making the connections of the alternate suspects. Who all knew who? Was Jack complaining to people that he knew close to him about Kaylee breaking his heart and those things? It seemed that Jack was hammered that night. That's what some people say, hammered, devastated over something that was going on. What exactly happened in that bar is a key to this whole case, in my opinion. Now, so-and-so, I think this is the redacted person's name, who may be a Showalter. Mogan and Gonzalez were the only ones who, in their group, who left the corner club and went to the grub truck. I want to say there's no question this is Showalter. That's what we see on camera. Showalter and the girls leaving the bar together. So it feels like I can probably safely say it, but since it's fucking redacted, I got to keep caveating it. Of the victims, only Mogan and Gonzalez were out at the bar. Of the victims, only Mogan and Gonzalez were at the bar. So-and-so believed that Kernodle and Chapin were still underage, too young to go to the bar. They were not there. They were at frat or sorority parties. They were at frat parties, I believe, that night. This person thought the car, listen to this, this person thought the car in front of the house the day of the murders looked similar to the one who picked them up that night. It seemed like a friend had picked them up, not a random person. People usually use designated drivers from their fraternities or sororities, and he thought maybe Kernodle and Chapin might have picked Mogen and Gonzalez up. Well, that's a big that's a big thing to get right. We better get that right. So did Eric Gower drive the silver car that picked up the girls? Or did Chapin and Kernodle have a silver car? One needs to know. Again, I just asking, this is this guy's statement. That same car, according to this guy, that same car seems to be parked out front when he went by the murder scene the next day that picked up the girls. So how much of the story is not true or at least questionable? And again, if you're going to bust my nuts over, sir, there's a million silver cars. It could be anything. You know what? There's a million white Elantras too, asshole. So let's if you're going to take one, oh, well, there was a silver car in front of the house. No, it was the white Elantra drove by the house a million times. It's all Koberger. It's a white Elantra. Well, if there's a silver car that picked up the girls and is sitting in front of the house, it's the same car, right? Same logic, right? Anyways, rant over. All right. So this person stated, that's who's being interviewed. This person stated that they usually don't go to parties. He usually goes to the bar. He heard a rumor that there was a party at the victim's residence earlier. Kernodle sometimes would get a little crazy with partying and I think coke. That's what I'm thinking. Because again, we see lots and lots of hints that Xana did coke. She was a wild child. Out of all the girls, it sounds like, well, Kaylee might have been a little bit maybe more promiscuous. I don't know. These are just speculations. I know you're saying I'm victim shaming. No, I'm trying to fucking get the story. I'm trying to understand the story. Who was sleeping around? Who was doing drugs? Because there's a drug element to this. People think it's a drug hit. So we need to know who does drugs in the house. That's important. I'm sorry that you find that offensive, some people. But if there's a drug story, a drug connection that people think this was a drug hit, then we need to know who the drug users are in the house. And it doesn't seem to be Kaylee. It doesn't seem to be Maddie. It seems to be consistently by a whole bunch of different eyewitnesses on this story that Xana and Chapin both like to do cocaine. That was a regular thing. So I don't know if that's what's redacted here, partying and whatever, but Mogen just uses alcohol. So this person, it seems to be this person is talking about a drug. Kernodle gets a little crazy and does drugs is what I'm thinking he's talking about. Mogen just uses alcohol. That's why we're making the distinction. Gonsalves, he thought, just drank alcohol only. So Maddie and Kaylee, he thinks, are just alcohol drinkers. They're not drug users. But Xana, drugs. Xana's got a history with her family, drugs. Xana's mother has a history with dangerous drug people. There's a drug element to the house. You cannot ignore who does the drugs in the house, who could have been the hit. He doesn't remember meeting Gonsalves prior to that night. After the incident, he heard rumors. I'm way behind because I'm at 27 minutes and I haven't even got to Dylan's going to take us a half hour at least. All right. So after the incident, he heard rumors that Gonsalves had a stalker. Any girl who belonged to the such and such sorority would know about the stalker. He says Mogen and Gonsalves, he believed both belonged to a sorority. So he's like, hey, yeah, everybody in town apparently knows that Kaylee had a stalker. Now, granted, he's already admitted he's friends with Maddie, so Maddie may have told him about Kaylee's stalker. So-and-so, this person being interviewed, had an ex-girlfriend that he was trying to get back together with. For most of the past few years, he had a girlfriend who went to a different school, so he hadn't been hanging out with a lot of people regularly. This person being interviewed said he had no idea who could have committed the homicides. Usually, the craziest thing that happens are people getting minor in possessions and DUIs, driving under the influence. So he hadn't heard any rumors about why this could have happened. He thought the only reason someone might have acted out like this is for love. Really? No shit. No shit. So you think, like my crazy ass, that maybe somebody would kill somebody over love. Okay, good. At least I'm not the only asshole who thinks that love can be a motivation for murder. Anyways, I just want to throw that out. All right. So this person said he left Moscow Monday morning, very convenient, around noon. So he stayed a little bit, but left town the next day after the murders. He traveled home by way of this is interesting. He traveled home by way of Ontario, Oregon, instead of New Meadows because he doesn't like driving through the mountains. So fair enough. It is winter-ish. So maybe that's legit, but it's enough interesting that the officers noted that he took a different route home than what should have been the obvious route. So does that tell you anything? I don't know. Just asking questions. Now, with consent, I collected buccal swabs from this person. This person had no apparent injuries to his hands, forearms, head, or neck areas, which indicates to me that they might have suspected him And so they checked him out and did a buccal swab. They're checking his DNA against the house, and they're checking him for injuries. The buccal swabs and the audio recordings were booked into evidence, blah, 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 blah. All right. Now we're looking at Ryan Hoxie. And this is an interview. Is this going to be, for the love of God, I got to see if we can get to Dylan's. This is Dylan's. No. So Ryan Hoxie is not Dylan's. We got this one and I think one more before we get to Dylan's. Fuck, we're never going to get done with this. We're never going to get done with this. Ryan Hoxie. So this may be, no, I already promised you Dylan in the thumbnail. We're going. All right. On November 17th, Idaho State Police Lieutenant Catlin and Detective Sergeant Hoxie conducted an interview with some random person. This interview took place in front of this person's residence located in Boise, Idaho. So again, somebody's in Idaho that we're doing it. They talk about the witness. This witness is a male of the age of 27. Here's the Brent Kopacka question. It's a Brent Kopacka question. Hear me out. On November 17th, 2022, at approximately 1:02 p.m., so this is days after the murder, Idaho State Police Detective Lieutenant Catlin and I conducted an interview with so-and-so. The interview was and by the way, this is a 20, what was the age of this particular person? A 27-year-old. Pay attention. This is about the age of Brian Koberger and maybe a little younger than Kopacka at the time. All right. So what we're going to get here is we're going to get an older gentleman than the college students and an Army Reserve person. That's the connection to Kopacka, but let's get there. Let's get there, work it through it. On November 17, 2022, at approximately 1:02 p.m., they conducted this interview. The interview was in reference to the murders, blah, 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 that happened, and the interview took place at his residence in Boise. We covered all that. On November 12th, he woke up and started watching college football and then went to the gym. His roommate, so he has a roommate, had a dart tournament at the Moose Lodge, which is next door to the Corner Club. So whoever this is roommates with somebody who went to the Moose Lodge. This is important. At approximately 5 to 6 p.m., he went to the Moose Lodge and started drinking. Moose Lodge had a veterans special. So his roommate is a vet. So this is somebody whose roommate is a vet, I think, because they're going to a vet special. They're getting drink special for vets. This person who's friends with the roommate who's a vet also is in the Army Reserve. And Brent Kopacka was in the Army as a ranger, as a specialist, as a paratrooper. Sorry, maybe not a ranger. He was definitely a paratrooper. And special forces, elite. Sorry, let me correct things. Brent Kopacka was not a ranger. And Brent Kopacka was not special forces. He was an elite force. Paratroopers are an elite force. There's no proof that Brent Kopacka was a ranger. So I need to correct those. Those are two mistakes I just made, but I'm correcting it immediately. Brent Kopacka is elite, or was, because he's deceased now. Brent Kopacka was elite forces. Paratroopers are considered elite combat forces. He was combat deployed in Afghanistan. And so the question, the $1 million question becomes, is this person who's also an Army Reserve person roommates with Kopacka? That's the $1 million question for me. So they're at the Moose Lodge that night at 5 to 6 o'clock because they have a veterans special on drinks. They were at the Moose Lodge until approximately 9 o'clock at night when they went to Mingles Bar and Grill for about an hour. After Mingles, they went to the Corner Club, but at this point in the evening, he was intoxicated and did not remember getting kicked out of the club and did not know why he was kicked out. Well, we heard another story that somebody was being creepy on Maddie Mogan and was grabbing ass and doing other things with Maddie, and they got kicked out of the bar. Is this the person? Is this Army veteran person the one who got kicked out of the bar for grab-assing on Maddie? Now, Maddie actually takes a photo with him and is hanging out with them, but maybe at some point he got a little too handsy with Maddie, thinking, hey, we're hitting it off great. I think I'll grab a little ass. Whatever the case may be, that's got him kicked out of the bar. All right, at approximately 11:21 p.m., he and Maddie Mogan took a picture together. So again, he gets kicked out of the bar, and I think he's the one that gets kicked out of the bar for being creepy towards Maddie, but she's hanging out with him, so we don't know for sure this is the same guy, but I think it is. My gut tells me it is. At approximately 11:21, he and Maddie took a picture together while they were at the Corner Club, and Maddie sent the photo in a group text to somebody. Also sent with the photo was a text message saying, "Get to the club, so-and-so." Look at the redacted size. It feels like a jack to me. That's a small size. It says, and there's two Jacks that are in this story. Jack DeCour, Jack Showalter. Jack DeCour did show up at the bar. So was she asking Jack to come down? And I'm theorizing, is Maddie taking a picture asking Jack to come down to the corner club bar where his ex-girlfriend Kaylee and her are hanging out? Did that happen? Or was Jack already there at that point? Don't know. He didn't remember this person being interviewed taking the photo with Madden because he was with Mogan, because he was so hammered he didn't even remember the photo. And he didn't remember who Mogan was with. This was also the first time he'd seen Mogan outside of class and school projects, it says. He didn't remember much about the evening because he was blackout drunk, according to the story, but he did say he walked home from the corner club. His address was some fucking place in Moscow, Idaho. His roommate, who again may be a vet, his roommate got home around 1:30 to 1:40 in the morning. His other roommate, he's got multiple roommates. By the way, Brent Kopacka had multiple roommates. I'm not saying this is Brent Kopacka per se, but fucking listen to this shit. Now, granted, here's the problem. Brent Kopacka, let me clarify this. This may not at all have anything. Well, I think it does with Kopacka, but Kopacka was shot and killed in Pullman, Washington. This address is in Moscow, Idaho, according to this. So that's the only part that doesn't make this match up to Kopacka. But the Army Ranger, I keep saying Ranger, the Army veteran, the drinking for the drink special for veterans, and this person being a roommate, that it all makes it possible. Now, he didn't remember. So it says his roommate got home around 1:30 to 1:40 in the morning. His other roommate, somebody, told him, and by the way, that name right there could be the right size, that he got home around 30 minutes before at approximately 1 o'clock in the morning. And that was the end of the night for him, this person being interviewed. His roommates are blank and blank, and they were a couple. So it looks like a male and a female who he's roommates with, and he passes out drunk, according to the story. On November 13th, he woke up at 12 noon. He learned of the incident through a vandal alert student email that afternoon, which explained the situation. An hour after receiving the first vandal alert, he received another, which told him that there was no suspect and to remain vigilant. And third vandal alert was sent out that evening while he was at work, which had details of how many victims there were. He did not know Mogan was one of the victims until Monday afternoon when he received an email from his professor of marketing, some guy we don't know with a name that's pretty short. The guy being interviewed, Mogan and somebody else are in marketing together at the university and work together on group projects. They were working on a project for blank redacted, which is a cafe in town that Mogan worked for. Who did Mogan work for? The Mad Greek restaurant. So I don't know if you can fit Mad Greek in there. I think you can. So it sounds like they're working on a project, a marketing project to help with Mad Greek restaurant, it seems like to me, which is a cafe in town that Mogan worked for. So I'm going to say that for me is a good chance that's Mad Greek restaurant. So again, just follow the logic on all this. When they worked on projects together, they would meet and work now this is the part that throws me off. When they worked on projects together, they would meet and work in the basement of the Albertsons building on campus. What the fuck are they working in the basement of Albertsons? Is the Albertsons a closed Albertsons? Did somebody work at Albertsons and allowed the students to use the basement of Albertsons as a study space? I don't understand that entirely at all. So they're in the Albertsons basement. I don't even understand that. Or maybe Albertsons isn't the name of a grocery store. Maybe it's somebody's house. Albertsons basement? I don't know. Anyways, it was the Albertsons building. I'm guessing it's actually an Albertsons building, as in the grocery store that they're working in the basement. And that does maybe ring true. Anyways, he hadn't even been to Mogan's house and didn't know until recently where she lived. He worked at such and such a place in Moscow and had worked for so-and-so for 8 years in total. As he transferred colleges, he moved stores with so-and-so, which is his boss. His boss said the store carried old K-bar knives. I didn't know Albertsons carried old K-bar knives. Maybe it's not the Albertsons we're talking about here. But anyways, he said his boss said the store carried old K-bar knives, but they were an older clearance item, and he didn't know what kind of sheath a K-bar knife would come in. I just find that shit of interest. And again, this isn't even the good shit. So he didn't know Kayla Gonzalez and didn't remember seeing her at the corner club. He didn't know any of the victims besides Mogan. Mogan was the only person from the house that he spoke with, and it was mainly related to class projects. He'd only talked to Mogan approximately 4 or 5 times through the school year. They mainly used text messaging to communicate. He read us a group text that he, Mogan, and somebody else used. The last text from Mogan was the photo and text message at the corner club, and someone responded the next day, which was the last text in the thread. I get the impression this guy just was classmates with Maddie, didn't have a big relationship, but that night, as he's drunk and hammered, he's thinking they're hitting it off really fucking well, and she seems to like me, and she wants to take a picture with me. Maybe I'll grab some ass. And that got him kicked out of the bar. That's what I'm thinking happened there. Is it important? No, but it's a really good story. So let's go on. Anyways, He was attending last year's semester at the university, and he thought Mogan was going to finish in 2023. He started college at Treasure Valley Community College, transferred to Utah Tech University, and from 2017 to 19, he started attending the University of Idaho. In 2019, he joined the Army Reserve. In 2019, he joined the Army Reserve as a culinary specialist. After 2 years, he went back to the University of Idaho to finish his schooling. By the way, I have bumped into some weird people who claim to have inside information about this case, who claim that they're cooks or chefs or whatever. It makes you wonder, can any of these people be these people that are just kind of hiding their identity? Fucking things that make you go, let's put that on the back burner. It's just, who knows? Who knows what the devil's advocates is going to stumble upon someday? But what I want you to focus on is this person. This person is in the Army Reserve. You do not have to be in the Army to be in the Army Reserve. You could be a student who's interested in do Army Reserve. There's a lot of ways to get into the Army Reserve. So it doesn't mean he's in Army Reserve, but what we do know is he's in the Army Reserve, that his roommate was at a veteran's special for drinks, therefore indicating that his roommate is a veteran and they're drinking on the veteran special, and he's in the Army Reserve. These are Army guys hanging out. So there's the Brent Kopacka question. Is this a friendship of Brent Kopacka? And the reason why it's all important is if these guys all connect to a Showalter and to an Adam and a Jack DeCoeur, then he knew Brent Kopacka, and the fucking story shouldn't be that hard for you to start questioning. Oh, wow. Huh. So an ex-jealous boyfriend happens to know a bunch of guys who were military trained in combat. Again, no allegations here. I'm just asking questions and telling you where my mind goes. Maybe my mind is nuts. Maybe I watched too many murder mysteries. We're not even at Dylan. That is one of the good ones. That's one of the good ones. But Dylan's the fucking coup de grace on this thing, right? All right, so he never heard of any issues with Maddie or anyone. He did not know Mogan she used any narcotics. They never spoke about anything personal. He didn't have a car, and he walked wherever he would go around campus. By the way, one of the things I said is, what if Brian Koberger was simply the getaway driver? What if somebody like Brent Kopacka, who can't drive because he's had drunk driving incidents and lost his license and couldn't drive, what if he had friends that would drive him around? What if the buddies had guys that would drive them around? Fuck, what if Brian Koberger came to Moscow, Idaho to pick up one of his buddies? And what if they ended up back in Pullman and later on hanging out in an apartment in Pullman that has no furniture? Remember, Brent Kopacka was shot and killed in Pullman apartment that had no furniture. Who was even living there? I'm not even sure that's where he was living. I'm confusing you, right? I'm confusing you. By the way, if you need to catch up on all these things, you need to go back and watch my whole playlist. Oh, that's really, really beneficial for me, for you to watch my old videos. Got a lot of videos about Brent Kopacka, got a lot of videos explaining these things, and maybe it'll make more sense when I'm not assuming you already know a lot of my previous videos. Let's get to frickin' Dylan, because we can't do it in 15 minutes, and that's about all I got left. So he didn't have a car. He rode a bus home to Boise and borrowed his brother's pickup when he got into town. He did not have any injuries to his hands and arms and face, so the police suspected him of something and basically looked into him. At approximately 1:36 p.m., he consented to a buccal swab, a DNA swab, so they collected his DNA. Bam, bada bing, Bob's your uncle. Now, Vicky Gucci, is it Gucci? A Gooch. Vicky Gooch, we're going to talk a little bit about this, and then we're going to get into Dylan. Or is this Dylan? Fuck, this might be Dylan. This might be it. Woohoo! Are we on time? No, because this is going to take a while. Yeah. I think this is Dylan. Here we go. This is the big shit right here. Vicky Gooch. This is an interview on, by the way, 11/17. It's like 4 days after the murders. It's in Boise, Idaho. I think oh yes, this is Dylan. This is 100%. Here we fucking go. November. This is going to show so much to me. I'm just speculating. It's going to show so much to me. On November 17th, 2022, Idaho State Police Detective Victoria Gooch and Moscow Police Department Sergeant Blaker, MPD is, sorry, don't mean to yell in the microphone. MPD is there with ISP. Sorry, guys, for yelling in the microphone. Shit, you're going to have to do some noise cancellation on some shit or something. I don't know. Anyways, they viewed, I'm just going to say it, Dylan Mortensen at her residence in Boise, Idaho. The interview occurred with Dylan Mortensen. With redacted person attorney present via computer. Here's the thing. No one in this case so far has lawyered up. Dylan Mortensen fucking lawyers up. That should tell you one thing. Now, before I get too far down in that, let me tell you this. If I felt that I was going to be a suspect of a crime, whether I did it or not, I would lawyer my ass up as well. So I got to give Dylan that. And she may have had, right, a father who's an attorney, right? Is she the one that had the father who's an attorney? So maybe he would advise her, fucking get a lawyer. But whatever the case may be, Clue number one is, if you didn't need a gigantic red fucking flag, is that she lawyers up immediately. Immediately she's lawyered up. So now they're doing the interview with Dylan Mortensen with a lawyer present on the thing, an attorney in Moscow, Idaho. So lawyered up. Here she goes. Now, again, lawyering up is not a bad idea. People never talk. As a caveat, never talk to the police never talk to the police without a lawyer present if you think you might be suspected of murder. I think Dylan Mortensen should be suspected of murder. I think it's a legitimate question. Even if she didn't do it, she should be suspected and go through the due things. So I'm a little bit of an asshole for saying, boy, look, she lawyered up, when that's exactly what you should do. Having said that, no fucking other person I know of lawyered up, only Dylan. And that should tell you something, in my opinion. Which is funny, because the irony is I would lawyer up and I'd be like, that should tell you something. Lawyering up should tell you something. Fuck, I'm an asshole. But no one else lawyered up. That's all I can say. The interview occurred. Okay, we got that. So there's a lawyer present. Here we go. She's a sophomore at the University of Idaho studying pre-physical therapy. She had been a University of Idaho student for both years, freshman and this year. She had been residing at the residence where this incident occurred since August of 2022. Her friend, that's going to be Bethany, I believe, and she, maybe not. So let's just say we don't know. Her friend, somebody, and she moved into the residence, and the other female roommates she knew through the sorority were somebody, Maddie, and Xana prior to this year, and had also met Kaylee before, but Kaylee belonged to another sorority. She explained that Kaylee was a senior in school. I think you're pretty close to knowing it has to be Bethany, right? Who else is there? Everybody else is a victim. It's only Dylan. So yeah, so her friend Bethany and her, or it could have been Ashlyn Couch. Is that the other person who moved out shortly after signing the lease? Redacted shit sucks. I'm going to say this is probably Bethany she's talking about. Anyway, she described Xana as being a year older than herself. She also described two additional friends, blank and blank, but they were not residents in the house. Blank explained blank introduced her to Xana last year. So Dylan explained that somebody, maybe Bethany, introduced her to Xana last year. Both so-and-so and so-and-so reside in so-and-so apartments, an apartment complex on campus that houses sorority members. Now, that actually might be their neighbors next door. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. That's not even the great stuff. She described the layout of their residence and where each of the roommates resided, paraphrased based on such and such description of their residence. When you walk in, there is a door. There is a downstairs with a bathroom and a blank bedroom. When you walk into the door, there's a hallway, and there's with her bedroom and the kitchen and the sliding door. And upstairs is Kaylee's room and a bathroom and Maddie's room. Xana is on the same floor as her bedroom. No question we're talking about Dylan. Zero question. Look at that. So we don't even have to speculate. We know this is Dylan. Initially, she was asked to describe what the girls did on the 12th of November, but she described there was a ball on Friday night, November 11th, a Pi whatever sorority ball, which she briefly attended. She explained she started drinking at 4:30 on the 11th. Dylan's establishing, I started drinking days before the murder, and I never fucking stopped. I drank for days after the murder, and I never stopped. So yeah, could she be freaking 100% wasted, hammered? Sure. It's amazing, however, that whenever she remembers a detail like bushy eyebrows, we're fucking okay with repeating that a million times. Well, she saw the killer, he had bushy eyebrows. But when you come to, by the way, I heard Kaylee screaming, we're going to pretend like that didn't happen, when the killer might have actually known me. Fuck, are you kidding me? That's in this document. Yeah, the killer probably knew who I was. No shit. I've been telling you since the beginning that I thought that the killer knew Dylan. Now she says it, but we don't talk about that. Why? Well, we don't talk about it because she was drunk. She doesn't remember it real clearly. But we will talk about what is convenient: his height, his build, his bushy eyebrows. But we won't talk about how she thought the killer knew her personally. That's coming up. I just did a spoiler alert, but you already probably know because I'm way behind. Everybody and their dog's already done the review. Fuck, I got to speed this up. We're only 12 minutes away from finishing. We're not going to finish. All right. She explained that she started drinking at 4:30 on the 11th. She described the individuals at the ball, including her roommates, as well as Ethan and his whole shit ton of stuff redacted, and their dates, who were Fiji fraternity members, a whole bunch of shit that we don't get to know. Kaylee Gonzalez was Dylan's date for the ball. We know that's the case. Kaylee had asked. That's the fucking thing. We know Kaylee, in a way, Kaylee wasn't staying at the house anymore. Kaylee had been staying at her house outside of the area, was at Coeur d'Alene. She was at her house in Coeur d'Alene, hadn't been staying there for weeks. Dylan asked Kaylee to come back into town and attend something with her. That's what I say is the question. Did Dylan lure Kaylee back to the house? Why did she bring... What? Come back and be my date for this special event. It'll be and then as they take a picture together, then hey, by the way, let's get together for photos. This is gonna be the last time we're ever gonna be together, because fucking maybe somebody knew somebody was gonna die that night. This is gonna be the last time we're all together. Let's take a photo. Come back into town. Come be my date for this party. Again, it's all speculation, and I'm just giving you opinions. Dylan stated how she got home around on Friday night by using an Uber from the ball that her and Kaylee had gone to their residence. She explained that she and her roommates normally have so-and-so as their Uber driver. That's short enough to be Eric. So is it Eric Gower? I don't know. They normally have somebody with a short name as their Uber driver, but not on the night of the 11th. So I'm going to guess that's probably Eric Gower, who we believe is the Uber driver that drove Kaylee and Maddie home the next night. She does not remember the name of the Uber driver on Friday night. So she doesn't know who drove them home. Normally she would have Eric drive them home is what I'm guessing, but she doesn't remember who drove her home on the 11th. That wasn't Eric. That's the story I'm getting. And that's what I'm trying to tell you I think is happening there. This was around 8:30 p.m. And she explained that she and her roommates trust that person, which I think is Eric. So she's explained, normally we use Eric, but I didn't get a ride from Eric that night. That's what I'm thinking. She advised the party initially transitioned to the such and such place, but she got bored and wanted to go home. It was she, Maddie, Xana, Ethan, regarding to the roommates that attended the ball. Eventually, a group from the such and such pie event transitioned to someplace and the other roommate's house, and there was a party that continued there until early in the morning hours of November 12th. So now we're on the day before the murders. She's still drinking. She's been drinking since the 11th at 4 o'clock in the evening on the 11th, and she's drinking into the next morning on Saturday, the 12th. This is the day before the murders. She's been fucking drinking for days. She requested to look at her cell phone during this point of the interview. So hey, can I look at my interview? Can I look at my cell phone to recall my times on this story I'm telling you? So it says she was advised that she could use her cell phone to provide times during the interview. So they gave her a phone apparently. She advised that the other individuals that came to the house on Friday night were somebody we don't get to know. Initially, by the way, listen to this. She advises other individuals came to the house on Friday were somebody. Initially, she said it was somebody else, but corrected herself, say that it was not somebody, but somebody else who came to their house. Okay, and blank as well as herself. What if that's confusing, it should be. What the officers are pointing out is Dylan's changing her story on the fly. Oh yeah, I came there with so-and-so. Wait, no, it wasn't so-and-so, it was so-and-so. Dylan is changing her story on the fly. Maybe you'll excuse her because she's been drinking for fucking a day and a half at this point. Okay, maybe a day. Actually, a day at this point. She drinks for like 2.5 days before the murder. So again, all of you that want to give Dylan the benefit of the doubt are going to say poor girl was hammered. She had no idea what's happening. But we can totally rely on the bushy eyebrows fucking comment. That part she's certain of. That part, and oh yeah, and her hearing, I'm here to help you. That fucking sure we know happened, but she was too fucking drunk to remember if it was Bob or if it was Sam or who the fuck came to her that house. Like, oh yeah, wait a minute, it wasn't that guy. I don't know, I was drunk. But believe me, everything I say about Kohberger, he was about the same tall as Kohberger and had bushy eyebrows like Kohberger. That shit we can count on, nothing else. And she changes her story on the fly. She requested to look at her phone. Okay, wait, I went back too far. All right, they were consuming, she says, they were consuming large amounts of alcohol and playing music. She went to bed a little after 12:10 a.m. This is on the morning of the 12th, the day before the murders. And then added that she went to bed sometime around 10 a.m. And 12:30 a.m. And that was the morning of November 12th. So very, very early in the morning, the early morning after midnight on the 12th. Eventually, she advised Maddie Mogan came home and eventually Kaylee Gonzalez, but she was not certain about where Kaylee was when she went to bed. She then explained on Saturday morning, the 12th, this is still the day before the murders, at approximately 12:15 in the afternoon. So they slept for hours. They slept from midnight to midnight. That's 12 hours they slept. She then corrected her time to say it was 11:44 instead of 12:15, that the roommates went together to get coffee and the store to get more alcohol. So again, Dylan's changing her story on the fly. Hey, we slept in until 12:15. Wait a minute, no, but it was 11:44 that we could. Not a big deal, but she's constantly changing her story on the fly. She explained the plans for that Saturday night included a such and such Chi fraternity party on campus. Dylan explained Kaylee was not going to this function because she was a senior, and typically seniors do not attend the fraternity functions on campus because they are old enough to go to local clubs. Dylan explained that she was going to the such and such Chi party. Dylan further explained at one point Maddie was at this function but left the function to go to a club with Kaylee. That's the corner club they're going to go to that night. So they're hanging out for a while, according to Dylan. They're hanging out all together, but then Kaylee and Maddie decide to go to the corner club that night. They were all at the house together at 5 p.m. on Saturday. This is the night before the murders. They're all there at 5 o'clock, November 12th. And Dylan stated Kaylee decided to go take a nap, and so-and-so, Maddie, Xana, and so-and-so, and she were on the couch watching a movie. Dylan explained that they were all together Saturday afternoon at the house, and they all decided to take naps, and each of the girls set their alarms for 8 p.m. Dylan believes Ethan may have come over to the house at this time, but she was not certain if this was the time that Ethan came over or if he showed up at a different time. Not a big deal. Dylan explained she had an assignment due in her Psychology 215 course. Why is Psychology 215 course important to me? I'm going to tell you in a minute. She also posted the assignment at approximately 10:12 p.m. She believes that she then left the house at approximately 10:30 p.m. So she posted her assignment at 10 p.m. that night, and she's got a psychology course. The only reason I bring it up is just a question. I'm not making a jump to conclusion. I'm making a question. Brent Kopacka was a psychology major before he switched to criminology. He was a psych major before switching to criminology. I don't know what courses Brent Kopacka was a TA for. Brent Kopacka at Pullman was a TA, right? Now, this is a psych course, I'm presuming at Idaho. Brent Kopacka's at Pullman, but you have to wonder if the psych course connection and him being a psych major could have anything to do. Because again, the million-dollar question is when Dylan says, hey, maybe the killer knew me, and if you believe that the killer was Brent Kopacka, the million-dollar question is, did Brent Kopacka know Dylan? And was the connections psychology? Or was there some other connection with Army connections, things that make you go home? And I'm at fucking in 1 hour. I got to finish this up. And by the way, there's like 100 points. We're on 23. This is going to be an hour and a half video, unfortunately. All right, here we go. When Dylan left the house, Kaylee was still there with one of her friends. However, Dylan does not know the friend's name. So Kaylee was still there with one of her friends. She doesn't know who she's with. She described the friend was female and was nice. After leaving the house, she saw Maddie between their residence and the such and such place. And Maddie was holding a box of White Claws, and she was walking towards their house. She advised that she talked to Maddie and then continued to the such and such Kai function. She believed that Maddie was going back to their residence to get ready to go to the club with Kaylee. Sergeant Blaker asked Dylan to give more details about the route that she took when she encountered Maddie and provided those details in the interview. She explained that when she got to the such and such Kai function, she wanted to meet up with Xana and some other person. And she called Xana on the cell phone to find out which apartment they were in. And she was told that they were in apartment number such and such. Others who were at apartment such and such at this time were Ethan, somebody, Xana, somebody. And Dylan explained that she and somebody were going in and out of the fraternity lodge together for part of that night. Dylan explained there were not a lot of people at this function. I'm guessing a lot of the Dylan thing by simply the size and the story, but I could get one of those wrong. She further explained that she met up with so-and-so, and the two of them went to such and such apartment. She was with Ethan Chapin and Xana during part of the night. And Dylan, I think, explained that Ethan had been trying to get in contact with his sister. We know that's also part of the story because she had been upset about something and he was worried about her. But Dylan did not know what the issue was. She remembered that he or somebody told her brother, that's his sister, Ethan's sister, Maisie, I think, right? Maisie, she remembered that Maisie told her brother she had not been answering her cell phone because she had been sleeping. So that's all documented in When the Night Comes Falling and other documentaries about that kind of thing. That all rings true. She described Ethan as being very protective of his sister as well as protective of all other roommates. The group of them then went to visit so-and-so, who she previously met through Xana, and so-and-so was also there, including she, somebody, and somebody, and somebody, and somebody, and somebody, and somebody were also there, as well as somebody, and somebody, and somebody. So fucking redactions are the bane of my existence. Now, here we go with the red Solo cups. Red Solo cup, you fill me up. Anyways, red Solo cups are in the crime scene photos. Here's what they were doing with that, according to this. When asked how much alcohol she, Dylan Mortensen, had consumed, she explained that she'd been playing Rage Cage, which she described as a drinking game. When she awakened from her nap, she consumed 3 White Claws with an alcohol content of 5%. She denied that there was any drug use. She stated Xana and Ethan used probably coke. She advised neither Maddie or Kaylee did drugs. She explained she nor blank never touched the stuff. So again, there's a redacted thing because it's big bad words. Somebody was probably doing drugs, and it's always Ethan and Xana who are in the drug connection. The other girls didn't do drugs. But Rage Cage is a drinking game that you play with Solo cups and ping pong balls and beer. So I had to look that shit up because I'm not in college anymore, and fucking Rage Cage wasn't a thing. I played different games in college. You can't even talk about those games you play in college. Anyways, she described the alcohol used at such and such a residence, which included such and such consuming a whole Borg. I had to look that shit up after we do, which is also in which she consumed some sort of Borg based on Google searches I conducted relative to the writing of this report. Borg is an alcoholic beverage which requires taking an empty gallon container of milk, essentially, filling it halfway of water, and the rest filling it up with alcohol, with vodka, enough MIO to make the taste of vodka disappear. And the cocktail is often referred to as a Borg, but the nickname doubles as an acronym that stands for the drink's full name, Blackout Rage Gallon. Fuck me, college students. Do you realize alcohol toxicity is a major killer of people? When you're in college, you can kill yourself. I went to high school, by the way, as an aside, with a guy that I was friends with. I called him Bones. That's what everybody called him, Bones. He drank himself to death. He died at a party because he was already hammered and somebody dared him to drink a fifth of Jack Daniels, and he chugged it and it killed him. Just as an aside, I loved that guy. Fucking sad story. Let's move on. Anyways, she described so-and-so as being extremely intoxicated and that she had continued to consume alcohol. And because of such and such intoxicated condition, so-and-so advised that she invite so-and-so to come back to her residence with her to watch movies. So somebody she's asking to come over to her house because she's hammered and hang out and watch movies. This all tracks with some of the other reports that said that they were on the couch watching Vampire Diaries. And because of the intoxicated condition, she called a sobro, which is described as involving a sober freshman fraternity member who is designated driver for fraternity and sorority members who are consuming alcohol to drive them to their home safely. I think that guy, by the way, was interviewed possibly on the latest Prime Video thing. Holy shit, we're at 1 hour. Let's get this done by 1 hour and 30 minutes. She was advised it was only she and blank who went back to their residence using the Sobro. So they got a ride back to their residence. I think that person was interviewed on the latest Prime Video thing. And they went back and she did not believe that anyone else was home. When the two got home, which she believed was something between 1:15 and 1:30 in the morning. This is before Maddie and Kaylee arrived. She was intoxicated, and because of that, she does not remember what time it actually was, but she believed it was between those two times mentioned. She further advised that she made popcorn in the kitchen, and she and this person watched Vampire Diaries together. Approximately 20 minutes later, so-and-so returned home. Now, that's weird to me. Why redacted? Maddie and Kaylee, if they were the ones who returned home and they were killed, we never redact Maddie and Kaylee. So who's the person? I think it's Bethany. Did Bethany return home? Is that the time? Because why is the person's name redacted? If it's the victims, understand, it's not Kaylee and Maddie who's coming home 20 minutes later because they wouldn't be redacted. So whoever it is probably the person who lives there, Bethany, who returned home. The three of them laid down and continued to watch Vampire Diaries. She believes so-and-so may have walked home. And then she advised that she does not know what time so-and-so and so-and-so went to bed. She had already gone to bed and does not know when so-and-so may have left or when so-and-so went to bed. A lot of redacted shit. I'm not going to go there. At approximately 2 o'clock to 2 a.m. in the morning, she awakened because Maddie and Kaylee arrived home from the grub truck. I believe that was 1:56 according to official records that they say. At approximately 2 o'clock, 1:56 is approximately 2 o'clock. We'll go with that. Or 2:30 a.m. She's not sure. She was awakened because Maddie and Kaylee arrived home from the grub truck and they had mac and cheese, which Dylan explained they normally got. All four of them together, which included Dylan and some person who's there visiting or watching movies, Maddie and Kaylee, and Dylan advised they were taking selfie videos. So the girls, all of them or whatever, are taking selfies of themselves, taking selfie videos, hanging out, watching Vampire Diaries or whatever in the living room. All the girls talked about getting grub truck food. So they're talking about getting grub truck food. The girls just came back with grub truck and they had mac and cheese. Maybe Dylan's like, oh God, that looks good. I should get some mac and cheese. Let's go back out to the grub truck. I don't know. I'm just trying to make the story make sense. It's okay right now. It's okay. We're not going nuts yet. She did not believe that Xana and Ethan were home because the bedroom door was open and she did not see them. And she discussed whether or not they may have been mistaken about this fact. And when she said it was certain she saw the door was open and they were not home. So it sounds like the officers are questioning whether or not they were already home at that point. And they had some discussion about whether or not they were home. She's like, I don't think they were home because the door was open and there was nobody there. She then went to bed, Dylan says, and she was advised after texting. She advised after texting so-and-so, the Uber driver. That's probably Eric, the Uber driver who they're friends with. So she's been talking about going out for grub truck because she's hungry. She saw the girls' food. Maybe she wants to get some grub truck herself. She asked Eric, are you driving still? That's the supposed what we're hearing there. Dylan looked at her phone to determine what time she had texted so-and-so, the Uber driver, I think that's Eric, and said her phone said 3:10 a.m. But after further discussion, Dylan admitted she had some confusion about whether she was using Moscow time or Boise time, and Dylan explained that her timeline may be off an hour because of this issue, specifically during this interview referencing Boise time instead of providing the time it would have been in Moscow when these events occurred on the 13th of November. Very, very confusing. But yes, there's a time differential between Boise and Moscow. Now, the problem I have with this is when you move to a different time zone, your phone picks up the cell tower and gives you the current time there. So I don't know where her confusion is. We're just going to put that aside for the minute. She explained that she uses Snapchat as well as her cell phone to communicate with her friends. She advised if there is a lack of texted communication on her cell phone is because she had transitioned to using the Snapchat. So Dylan is already covering for why there's suddenly a lack of communication in the texting. Well, I moved over to Snapchat. Guess what Snapchat allows you to do? It allows you to send text messages that are not traceable because it's end-to-end encryption. So Dylan admits at some point she switches to end-to-end encryption instead of using the regular texting she did. Why is that the case? Things that make you go, although she says her friends always use Snapchat. So why didn't you start using Snapchat? Now, the answer can be simply this. When she's texting Eric Gower, the Uber driver, she would be using her regular texting. When she's talking to her friends, she'd be using Snapchat. So maybe, again, it all tracks. I'm just thinking out loud and I'm confusing the piss out of you. She advised her login information with Snapchat is such and such, and her password is either such and such or such and such or such and such. I don't know. She denied knowing her roommates' passwords to their cell phones. The million-dollar question is, did they get into Dylan's Snapchat? Did they get into it? Did she just say, I think my password is this, and they never got into it? That's not clear in this discussion. While they were together, they talked about ordering grub truck, and she texted so-and-so, the Uber driver, probably Eric, at approximately 3:10. She explained that she texted to him, are you driving by chance? This tracks with what we know. Eric, are you still driving? Not exactly the same wording, but something to that effect. I think that's what we're talking about. At approximately 3:13 a.m., this person, Eric, texted back. She then went to bed. She does not believe that person, Eric, ever came to their house because she never responded to his text about the fact that he was still driving. So it sounds like she said, are you still driving? And he said, yes, but then she never responded to him. And so she's like, I guess he just figured since I didn't respond, he didn't come by. She advised so-and-so, the Uber driver, is in his late 30s, or in his 30s, not late 30s, in his 30s, married and has one child. That also seems to track with Eric Gower. She advised all the girls knew him and liked him. That also tracks with what we know about Eric. Dylan advised that she's not certain if she stayed awake to watch the Vampire Diaries episodes or if she went to sleep. This is fucking funny because Dylan seems to remember exactly what she was watching on Vampire Diaries, but now all of a sudden she's having confusion remembering what episode she was watching or if she was watching it. She was not certain if she locked her bedroom door, and she was not certain if she locked the sliding glass door because she was the one who usually did. But she also volunteered in her statement that she believed Moscow is a safe place, so the sliding door was not always locked. So Dylan admits, I'm the one who usually locks the sliding glass door. I'm not sure if I did that night. I was really drunk. She does not remember if anyone locked the sliding glass door before she went to bed. She was the first to go to bed out of all of her roommates. She explained that it was that she previously had a lot of dreams. Now, this is fucked up. Dylan explained she had previously had a lot of dreams where she had been kidnapped in her dreams, and she further explained these types of dreams started in high school, and she knew they were dreams, and she would let those things happen in her dreams because she realized they were dreams. She advised that she does not suffer from anxiety and denied prior life trauma other than divorced parents. I find that weird. Dylan admits she has dreams, frequent dreams of being kidnapped. She doesn't say and raped, but what she does say is she allows those things to happen in her dreams. She allows them to happen because she's used to them and she's aware they're a dream. So she gets kidnapped. Is that all she's aware? Does that dream stop with her being kidnapped, or do those dreams go further than that? Whatever the case may be, Dylan has, by the way, a fascination with bushy eyebrows. She has it all over her bedroom. According to a police report, she had images and drawings of men with bushy eyebrows. She would believe that, I believe they said that she was obsessed with true crime and watched a lot of true crime. And she had nightmares or dreams, not nightmares. She calls them dreams about being kidnapped and things being done to her that she just goes with because she knows it's a dream. Dylan explained that she was awakened to a noise at 4 to 4:20 a.m. Here we go. She was asked to explain the amount of alcohol that she had consumed before going to bed, and she began to explain that she was playing a rage cage, which included White Claws, all that stuff we've talked about before. She advised she'd been consuming alcohol until approximately 1:15 or 1:30 in the morning on Sunday morning. She denied drinking any more alcohol after that when they got back to their residence. At 4:22 a.m., she confirmed this information by looking at texted communications on her cell phone. So she goes to verify her time. Oh, okay, at 4:22, she texted Kaylee asking her what's going on. She advised her phone said 5:22 a.m. So she says she's texted Kaylee at 4:22, but her phone says it's 5:22. What she advised would have been 4:22 Moscow time. So her phone apparently is locked into Boise time, instead of picking up the cell tower at 4:22 Moscow time. But okay, I don't know. She advised around 4 a.m. to 4:20 a.m. she heard Kaylee singing. Now this is where the shit goes off the hook. She advised at 4 to 4:20 a.m. she heard Kaylee singing and playing music. She heard who she believed Kaylee walking up the stairs, and Dylan advised she heard Kaylee say, "Someone's here." And she sounded frantic. So Kaylee's walking up the stairs. Let me point this out. Kaylee told an officer of the NPD that Kaylee was the victim on the second floor and that Xana was the victim upstairs, or I don't actually think that part might have been clear. She did say Kaylee was the victim on the second floor, not Xana. And later on, the officer said, we later found out that this was a mistake. It wasn't Kaylee. But if you listen to Kaylee's report, here's why. Because Kaylee believes, or sorry, Dylan, here's why. Dylan believes that Kaylee went upstairs, saw an intruder, said, oh my God, somebody's here, ran back down the stairs, and that she got killed on the second floor. That's basically what, and that's why she told an officer, I think Kaylee's on the second floor, dead on the second floor. That's what I'm tracking. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm wrong, but hear me out. Now, there is a point that Dylan will say that Kaylee's back upstairs on the third floor, so it gets a little confusing, but let's track this. I know it's confusing. That's what happens when you're trying to follow their story. It's fucking, their story's bullshit. So, she heard Kaylee say someone's here, and she sounded frantic. Dylan described Kaylee's tone as somewhere between talking and yelling. She believed it was Kaylee who was walking up the stairs with Murphy. She said she heard who she believed to be Kaylee running down the stairs. So she's coming back. She goes up there. Oh my God, somebody's here. She's running back down the stairs. She advised Murphy was barking at this time. The dog's going nuts. Kaylee just walked in on something. The story that we're getting in our head right now is Maddie's being attacked upstairs by her attacker. And Kaylee walks in on it and says, oh my God, somebody's here, and runs back down the stairs with her dog, who starts barking at the intruder in the house. That's what I'm getting so far as this image so far. Now, whole bunch of redacted shit in 52. Dylan advised she had been, who fucking knows what happened there. 53, she does not believe Murphy is normally a barker, so she finds it odd. 54, she further stated she believed it was Kaylee who was running down the stairs after she heard her say someone's here. She further explained she does not know if she actually heard this or whether she was drunk and did not actually hear any of this. So Dylan's already waffling. Oh yeah, Kaylee went upstairs. I'm even going to tell you that I heard that Kaylee was wearing freaking Vans shoes. I could tell she was wearing Vans shoes from the sound of it. And then I'm not sure I heard anything. I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure I was not drunk and dreaming the whole thing. Her story is all the fucking over the. No wonder Dylan's lawyered up. All right. So she heard the footsteps of who she believed to be Kaylee. She explained all the girls were, Doc Martens, not Vans. Doc, my bad. Doc Martens. I should have read. She explained that all the girls wore Doc Martens, and this is what she believed that she heard coming down the stairs wearing her Doc Martens. Dylan knows the sound of Doc Martens. Great. I'm trying to remember. I've had a pair of Doc Martens, haven't I, in the past? I'm trying to remember if Doc Martens I've just seen. Anyways, she hears the Doc Martens because of the sound of the footsteps coming down the stairs. So that's how good Dylan's memory is. She remembers Doc Martens. But then she also says, I'm not sure any of that happened. I might have dreamt the whole thing. Dylan called so-and-so at 4:19 a.m., then Xana at 4:20, then Kaylee so it's Bethany. She calls Bethany at 4:19. It sounds like, why would you redact that name? Xana at 4:20, that's deceased, so that's why we can say it. Kaylee at 4:20, she's deceased, so we can say that. And then so-and-so again, that Bethany again at 4:20. Dylan advised so-and-so told her about seeing fireworks. We know that's Bethany. So it is Bethany. She's calling Bethany, and Bethany said, hey, I saw fireworks. That's been relatively new. Bethany said she saw what looked like fireworks, a bright flash under her door, and a sound like fireworks. So what the fuck was that? Some of you are saying a gun. A gun went off. Something made a popping sound or a fireworks sound, a bang, whatever. She doesn't describe what fireworks mean. By the way, there's a reason why why Bethany never came back. Why fucking Bethany never came back to Idaho. And there's a reason why we took a plea deal, because she's got exculpatory information. That's my opinion. Bethany Funk and Dylan Mortensen know shit that happened in that house, and they're sitting on it and they're lying about it, and Bethany's being protected and she's not coming back to the state. Brent Kopacka had no fucking choice but to take a plea deal, because the people who know that didn't happen, it didn't happen the way they say it happened. It fucking didn't happen. They weren't going to testify. And Hitler made it clear, you're not allowed to talk about anybody else being involved in this murder but yourself. That's it. We know the killer arrived in a car. That's you. We know it's your car because there's some car driving around the neighborhood in that area that looks kind of like yours. So we know it's you. You're the only one who could have done it. So you're not allowed to talk about anybody else because nobody else could have been involved. Fuck, he did not get a fair trial. Whether he did it or not. He did not have a fair trial. Well, he didn't have a trial. He wasn't getting a free pre-hearing. Dylan says then explained that when she first opened the door and she said she did not see anyone, the second time she opened the door, she heard who she believed to be Kaylee crying, and so-and-so believed Kaylee was in the second floor bathroom. Second floor. So not upstairs. Kaylee, she thinks, ran up the stairs, heard somebody, oh my God, there's somebody here, ran back down the stairs, and then was in the second floor bathroom crying. Could have been Xana. It could have been Xana. But Dylan, I hope I'm not getting these names wrong all the time and fucking confusing you even more, because I'm trying to give you the drunk ramblings of somebody giving a story that they need a lawyer for because they know they're fucking making shit up on the fly. And I'm confusing you when I get their names wrong. So she hears Kaylee on the second floor. That's floor below where Kaylee was found. She says that she heard Kaylee crying in the second floor bathroom. She then heard a male voice, which she stated she had never heard before, say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Later on, we're going to find out from another thing. She believes that she hears them say, "It's okay, Kaylee, I'm here to help you." What the fuck am I in the Twilight Zone? Later on, she's going to say she heard, "Okay, Kaylee, I'm here. It's okay, Kaylee, I'm here to help you." Did the killer know Kaylee? Well, here we just get "it's okay," not Kaylee. This story, holy fucking bejesus. Okay, I know they're drunk, so maybe that excuses it for you. She believes it was Kaylee who was the one crying. Dylan stated stated that now she had gathered additional information. She now believes it was probably Xana. So what Dylan's saying is, I thought at the time it was Kaylee. I heard Kaylee run up the stairs. I heard Kaylee run back down the stairs. I heard Kaylee crying in the bathroom on the second floor near my room. And I heard somebody say, "Hey, Kaylee, it's okay, I'm here to help." And then later on, she's saying, I later realized after you guys told me that it was not Kaylee, that it was Xana. Oh yeah, then it must have been Xana who I heard crying. At that moment of hearing crying, she stated she believed it was Kaylee who was crying. She advised that she knows the male's voice was not Ethan. So the officers are pointing out her story is not matching. Hey, you said Kaylee was on the second floor? Oh yeah, I guess you guys said it was Xana. It was Xana then that I heard. Yeah. All right. So she described the last episode of Vampire Diaries. Funny. Dylan can't remember shit about whether or not she was dreaming the whole entire thing, but she can tell you the last episode of Vampire Diaries. Now, what they don't tell you in this thing is whether or not the police verified this. They should have verified for her alibi. What were you watching and what was the episode about? That's what they ask. It's clear they ask that. What we don't know is when the officers went and verified that that's exactly the episode of Vampire Diaries that Dylan was watching, and it matches up that was on TV that night. That should have been done, and maybe it's brought out later. She advised the male figure in the last episode was wearing all black, kind of like the killer. But Dylan explained that it was normal for the series. So did she conflate the two? Did she conflate what she was seeing on TV on the Vampire Diaries, somebody all dressed in black with the killer who's all dressed in black? Is she conflating things? Is she dreaming about being kidnapped and other things happening to her, but maybe it didn't really happen because she just dreams that all kind of stuff and lets it go? Who fucking knows? She is not certain whether she heard Murphy barking during the first time she opened the door, but she advised that it is possible he was barking, but Murphy was moving away from the house. Murphy's outside. Murphy's moving away from the house. Fuck me, this story. Murphy was found upstairs in the bedroom. Do you remember that? How can Murphy be loose and running around outside the crime scene if he's in the bedroom? If Murphy's a boy, got to be a boy. If Murphy's in the bedroom upstairs when in the crime scene and not covered in blood, how the hell is he outside running around moving away from the house? Nothing makes sense. She described Murphy was a puppy and that she had just met in August. She could not describe Murphy as being skittish. She advised she opened and closed her door a total of 3 times, and the 4th time is when she left her bedroom to go downstairs to Bethany's room. Dylan advised she continued to call and text her roommates, but received no answers. She provided the times that she called and texted her roommates, and the time span she advised would have been between 4:20 a.m. and 4:27 a.m. She advised she never thought about an intruder, and in her mind, she stated she was not processing what was occurring. She advised she never thought about an intruder. You see an intruder with bushy eyes walking past you, but she's not thinking as she's texting everybody about an intruder anymore. What the fuck, Dylan, are you doing? She advised that she believed the male was directing his conversation of who she believed was Kaylee. She advised she did not believe the male was directing that statement to her. What the male saying, "It's okay, I'm here to help you," was talking to Kaylee and not her, she says. In discussing why the offender did not harm her, pay attention, because they have the same question I do. Why the fuck did the killer leave you alone? He slaughtered the whole house. Why did you live? Oh, he might have known me. In discussing why the offender did not harm her, it was discussed that it was possible the male knew her and wanted to protect her, and she said she understood that that was possible, but she denied knowing who the suspect was. That sentence means the officers questioned her, and she admitted, maybe I did know the killer. Maybe the killer knew me, but I don't know. I don't know for sure, but I guess it makes sense, because maybe the officers are like, is there a reason why they left you alive? Did he know you? Yeah, maybe he knew me. Maybe the killer knew me. Fuck me. Dylan further explained she Snapchatted Ethan but received no answer from Ethan and thought Ethan was still either at such and such Chi fraternity or was at home. She was not certain. Is it the fraternity or the sorority? Anyways, the third time that Dylan opened the door, she said her vision was blurry or fuzzy. Convenient that shit is. Sorry, I had to do the Yoda thing. But she advised that she was a figure, that she saw the figure of someone that was dressed in all black and they were masked and they were holding an item of what she initially perceived to be a vacuum, but she did not take or make any sense. It did not make sense to her. Now I want to stop right here because again, I saw Pavarotti's slight video where Pavarotti is insisting the only thing that makes sense is that that the killer was holding a rifle. And it's based on her saying, Dylan, when she explains the shape of it as having a cylinder and a triangle at the bottom, which Pavarotti shows a firearm that has a bump stock at the end or whatever that looks like a triangle shape, and therefore the only thing she could have seen was a rifle. My problem with that logic, and I'm not fucking, Pavarotti's amazing, so I'm just, my own thing is, my problem with that is, she says it looked like a vacuum cleaner. You don't know what a gun looks like. I have to believe, in my heart of hearts, it's not a rifle. If Dylan saw a rifle, she would know what a fucking rifle looks like. I don't think she's going to be confused about what a rifle looks like. And her thinking that it might have been a vacuum, but she can't tell it would be a rifle, I'm not buying it. So I have to disagree with that logic that the only thing that makes sense is that Dylan saw a rifle. Because why don't you just fucking say I saw a rifle? Instead of she saw something that might have been a vacuum and describes it cylindrical in shape in one place and triangle at the bottom, which again, Pavarotti said the only thing that makes sense is a rifle. I disagree. She described the suspect as, and again, no fucking issues with Pavarotti, Pop. So if you hear this, don't fucking bust my nuts. I just disagree with that. All right. She described the suspect as not being muscular, but being skinny and toned like a basketball player. She further described him as being taller, around 5'10" frame, at least 3 inches, by at least 3 inches. So he would have been about 6 foot in height. She advised that he had to have heard her call. He would have had to have heard her call after Kaylee and Xana, and she thought he would have had to have heard her calling for them, and she was confused as to why he did not come to her room. She admits that she called out to Kaylee and Xana. She knows something's going on. She's calling out to them. She's heard screams in the house. We know that. And then later on, I didn't know there was an intruder in the house. I had no idea. I don't know why the killer didn't come to my room. He heard me calling Xana and Kaylee's name. He had to have known. He might have known me. Maybe the killer knew me. Yeah, maybe so. She described the item that the suspect was holding, which she advised was like a cylinder, and she remembered a cop talking about a bow. She said she was trying to ascertain if what she saw was in fact shaped like a bow. That bothers the piss out of me. They've repeatedly told us recently that there was more than one weapon used in the commission of the crime, and yet they keep sticking with the K-bar knife as the only weapon. But then they'll go back and say, well, there might have been more than one weapon at the same time. Why are the officers asking her if she saw something that looks like a bow? What the hell is a weapon that looks like a bow? Not a rifle, in my opinion. Not a vacuum, in my opinion. The officers have an idea that there might be a bow involved in this thing or something that looks like a bow. So what are they actually looking for a bow? Did they think the killer had a bow, or did they think it had something that they're looking for that would look bow shape? And she doesn't go for it. She doesn't go for it. Dylan further stated that she thought maybe it was a firefighter because of what Bethany had told her about seeing a firecracker. So somehow firecracker to her relates to firefighter. That's what she's saying. She advised that she would have been approximately 3 feet away from her, and she believed she saw him walking out the back, sliding door. And he looked at her while walking out the back door. She was not certain if he could see her whole body or just her head. At 4:22 a.m., then Dylan corrected her time and stated it was 4:23 a.m. She advised that she texted so-and-so, Bethany, I think, and they conversed about someone wearing all black. And Bethany said something to the effect of, what the fuck? Why is Xana wearing all black? Dylan explained she was not certain if she had been dreaming this or if it was even real. Fuck, we're not getting through this. All right. Dylan explained she saw the suspect holding something she believed to be cylinder-shaped, but also shaped like a triangle at the bottom of the cylinder. Again, Pavarotti says the only thing that makes sense is a rifle with a bump stock at the end, or an arm cushion, you know, at the end. I disagree, but I said that already. She advised the suspect was approximately 3 feet away from her and looked at her, but was walking out the sliding door when she saw him, and she saw his eyebrows. At 4:23, she texted Bethany to tell her she saw a masked suspect in their home. Bethany responded at 4:25, telling her to come to her bedroom and that it's better than being alone. Dylan then left her room after opening her door the 4th time and ran to Bethany's room downstairs. Dylan advised that when she left her bedroom, she looked down the hallway to Xana's room and could see Xana lying on her back in her underwear, but she thought at that time that Xana was passed out. Dylan said she never went into Xana's bedroom and she could only see Xana from the hallway, and she was running to get to Bethany's room. You're running to Bethany's room because you're terrified, and all you think that's happened is your friend is passed out. You saw an intruder, he's masked, he's holding something, you've heard crying, you've heard panic, you've heard screams, you've heard all of this, but you're thinking, yeah, probably Xana's just passed out. Fuck it, going downstairs. Yep, that makes sense. She advised that she was too scared to go into Xana's room. Scared of what? Your friend's just passed out. I'm beating a dead horse. You all fucking asked the same question. And she knew that Bethany was awake, and she knew to go there because she was scared. She saw Xana was wearing her underwear, and she explained that Xana was comfortable enough with the roommates that she would wear her underwear around them, so this was not unusual. You can see Xana's in underwear, but you can't see Xana covered in blood. Make that make sense. Well, it was blurry. It was very blurry and very fuzzy. I could only see her panties. Sorry, that's a little creepy. I can only see her underwear. I couldn't see that she was covered in blood. What the fuck with this story? When asked about the lighting conditions inside the residence, she advised it was possible Xana's light was on or the party lights were on, and that's how she was able to see Xana, because otherwise how could she have seen her laying on the floor without any lights being on? Literally Dylan's making this shit up on the fly. Maybe the lights were on, maybe they weren't. I mean, I guess they had to be on, right? Because I saw Xana, so yeah, I guess they had to be on. She's making this story up on the fly. Was she even there? Some people say she wasn't even there. I think she was, but she was not certain if the bathroom lights were on, but she was not certain what lights were on, if any. She advised Xana to not say anything. Dylan said that she did not think anything was wrong, even though that nothing's going on. She can't get a response from her friend. She later offered that she may have been able to see Xana lying on the floor because they had a Sensi light on that could have been on when she saw Xana from the Sensi light. Dylan's making up the story about what lights are on and off as she's going on the fly, making it up. Well, did you see lights or not see? Oh, I don't know. It could have been a Sensi light, could have been a light, could have been a freaking moonlight, could have been a freaking space light, could have been an alien. I fucking don't know. Fucking her story just changes whatever the hell. She explained she has been trying to determine what was real from everything that she's been talking about with Sergeant Blaker and myself. She's on the fly. I'm still trying to figure out what really happened that night. I don't know. She advised that she knew the time with so-and-so, Kaylee and Maddie, were real because there was a video of them together. She was not certain how so-and-so had got home that day. So some of the things she can say, hey, I know it's true because I have the video of us. She further explained that she had been trying to piece together things because some things did not make sense to her. She stated that she had been truthful, but some of what she had been discussing, she was not certain is factual. Yes, I'm telling you the truth, but some of it might not be true. Yep. Fucking get it. And I do. If she's drunk, she's like, hey, I'm telling you what I think is true, but I could be wrong. But it's just awesome. Yes. I promise what I'm telling you is 100% truthful, but it might not all be factual. Okay. She'd been trying to work through it to remember what happened. Dylan asked if the female who was crying and saying anything, as she advised no. Dylan was asked if the female was crying was saying anything, and she advised no. The female was only crying, and the male was the only one talking. She described the item that the suspect. So the officers are going back. Let's talk again about that thing. Who was crying? What did they say? They're going back over the details with her again. Is what's happening here. Dylan was asked. She described the item that the suspect was holding as cylinder shaped, and was also triangular shaped. She could not remember if the lights were on or if they were off when she encountered the male suspect. She advised she does not know if it is even something she saw or if it's something she dreamed. By the way, I remember some asshole told me, Devil's Advocates, you're a piece of shit. She never said that she wasn't sure that she didn't dream the whole thing. Yeah, she fucking did. Multiple police departments have recorded Dylan saying she's not sure she dreamt the entire thing. So fuck off. Pardon my French. She advised the last time she saw Xana was at so-and-so's house at approximately 11:04 p.m. and confirmed this by checking her cell phone. Xana had been holding a White Claw. She was at such and such a place at 12:49 a.m. She further advised Xana and Ethan did not stay at Ethan's house with any frequency Xana and Ethan did not stay at Ethan's house with frequency because of Ethan's grades. He could not reside at the fraternity. He had his own apartment, but she did not know where the apartment is because she had never been there. She knows Kaylee and Maddie were home when they went to bed, and that so-and-so, and from when she saw Xana laying on the floor, but she was not certain about whether Ethan was home. She advised that she left blank and blank house at approximately 12:49 a.m. to return home. Dylan stated she was certain at 3:11 a.m., which is through discussion might have been 2:11. So she stated she was certain at 3:11, which through discussion might have been 2:11 Moscow time, because there's the Boise, Idaho fucking Moscow time difference issue. That Bethany, Kaylee, Maddie, and whatever, and were all in the house, and she was not certain about Xana and Ethan because she does not know when they came home. She denied perceiving a threat. I didn't really feel anything was threatening in the house. Screaming, running up and down the stairs, somebody's here. I didn't really perceive a threat. Even after encountering the male in the hallway, she said. She said there were people coming and going out of the house all the time. She denied remembering what his face looked like and said she could see that his head and mouth were covered, but she could see his eyebrows, and further advised that she was not certain that she could see his nose. Oh, by the way, we were told later on she saw his nose as well and that he had a big nose, but now she's saying in the first place, I don't know that I saw his nose. Later on, they'll say, yeah, she saw he had a big nose. Fuck everyone who's making this shit up. When asked, because you just pick what the hell version you want to tell, and that's what it would have been. I'm losing my mind on this case. It's late. It's late. It's like 2 a.m. I'm doing this to try to get this out to you guys, and it's going super long. It's like almost 2 hours. When asked if she knew what a balaclava was, she said no, and so they asked Blaker to show her, Dylan, a picture of a balaclava from his cell phone. That's bullshit right there. Hey, by the way, was he wearing this? Because now she's going to be like, you know what? I think I do remember him wearing that. Fuck, that's how you lead a witness. I can't believe they did that rookie move, in my opinion. And upon looking at the picture of the balaclava, she says it could have been that. Yeah, could have been that. She does not remember seeing his mouth or nose. Well, you know what? If we've got Koberger buying a balaclava, that's how we say, yeah, Dylan said she saw him wearing a balaclava. Nice. When asked if any of her roommates told her about prior incidents involving anything concerning them, she said Kaylee had told them, blank, and other roommates about an incident a month prior when she was outside with Murphy about a subject who had been watching her. This subject was in the apartments above the girl's residence. So now we know the person above the apartments in the apartments is watching Kaylee at the house, she says. Dylan further explained that 2 or 3 weeks ago, while at Winco, Kaylee told her that there was a male subject who followed her from the Winco store all the way to her car. Even when Kaylee went to leave, the subject was standing by her car. I think she called the police on that one. Many people said she had a stalker. Also, 2 to 3 weeks ago, all of the roommates went to Starbucks together, and when they got home, their front door was wide open, and they do not believe they had left it open when they left. She explained there was prior issues with the front door, so she said it is possible the door opened because there had been a snowstorm, and she explained that possibly the wind had caused the door to open. Also, when they got home, the washer was going, which she described was not unusual, but also concerned her. She explained because of these things, they went to Ethan's to get golf clubs to protect themselves. So the door's wide open and the washer's going, and nobody's home. Who the fuck's doing laundry? Anyways, Dylan explained weeks prior on the 13th, Kaylee told the roommate she heard a woman scream, but no one else heard it. Dylan said she was asked if she was telling, this is the big one. The officers don't believe Dylan Mortensen's bullshit. And this is what they say. Dylan was asked if she's telling Sergeant Blaker or anything to prevent us from solving this crime. And she advised no. She understood the question, and she advised that she knew that she did not sleep through the whole incident because she would texted communications with other things, and that she knows that she would be required to be that she would have been required to be awake. She advised she knows what she heard, especially about hearing who she believed was Kaylee crying and the male voice, and that he was there for her, because that's what they said. Kaylee, he was there for her. Kaylee, it's okay. I'm here to help. That's what she later will say. Here she says she believed Kaylee was crying and the male voice was telling her that he was there for her. I'm here. Now, did that mean the Kaylee part? I'm here for you, Kaylee? Or does it mean like I'm here to help you? But later on, we're going to hear that supposedly there's a new statement that she heard the killer say, "Kaylee, I'm here to help you." She stated again she does not know how much of what she had been telling us was not factual because she's still processing. So the officers are like, "Are you telling us the truth?" Or specifically the officers are like, "Are you hiding somebody? Are you trying to keep us from solving this crime? You fucking should know she's trying to hide who is involved in this crime. You know it. You know it in your gut. That's what I'm telling you. You know it in your gut. She's hiding somebody behind the crime and you know it in your gut. Are you trying to hide somebody? Are you trying to make sure that we don't find who's doing it? Oh, the coup de grace is coming. It's still coming. But the officers know she's hiding somebody. They know it. I know it. My gut this cements shit for me. It's coming more. When asked why she believes that she was spared after the male suspect saw her, she said she does not know why. She does not believe anyone ever tried to open her door during the time that she was in the house and could have easily have done so. And why would he have passed by her room multiple times? She volunteered that to come through the sliding glass door, the person would have had to have scaled a tall wall. She advised the suspect would have known her room would have been occupied because she appeared to have known the layout of the house. She also said it would have been someone who was in the house last year when the girls were living in the house. She's got all kinds of extra details of who she thinks the killer is. And she says that person knew I was in the house. So why didn't he kill you? I think he may have known me, is what she said. She advised there was no one that she knows who would have wanted to hurt the girls, and the girls were loved by everyone. She said that they had never heard rumors, heard rumors which were negative about the victims. When asked about Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, fuck yeah! When asked about Kaylee's ex-boyfriend, so-and-so advised the breakup was mutual. Is that Mortensen that they're saying instead of Dylan? Advised that the breakup was mutual and that they have their dog Murphy in common. And Jack comes to their residence and plays with Murphy, and he and Kaylee continue to be friends. When asked if they co-parented Murphy, she said yes. Kaylee told her the relationship with Jack had run its course, that Dylan thought Jack had handled the breakup well because every time he came to the house, there didn't seem to be an issue. Thank God the officers were looking into the ex-boyfriend. And I'm not saying he did anything. But they're at least looking into it. And they're asking, are you hiding something? Is there something you're not, are you fucking covering for somebody? How about that ex-boyfriend? Yeah, they were good. Dylan brought up the name so-and-so, but she mispronounced his name during the interview. God, I want to know who that is. As someone that she and others believed might be involved. OMF fucking G. Okay, the F could have been left out. I just did F for what the hell? Dylan brought up a name of someone who she mispronounced their name in the interview that they believe might be involved in the murders, but she was reluctant to say who the suspect was because she knows how damaging to his reputation it could be if he was not involved. Oh my God. Dylan thought the killer might have known me. I might know who it is, but I don't want to say because it's going to damage their reputation. Good for you. Good for you. She advised that she was told by so-and-so, Xana's best friend, that so-and-so once punched a friend of theirs, so-and-so, in the stomach last year. Is that Jack? But Dylan did not know the circumstances as to why. Whoever it is that she believes might be involved in this murder had been involved in some kind of fight or altercation with a friend of theirs, had punched somebody in the stomach. I don't know who it is, but Dylan's got a name of somebody she suspects was involved in the murder. But she doesn't want to say who it is because it would damage their reputation. Did they let that shit go? Well, no, because she gave them a name. But the name's been redacted. Dylan advised that recently Kaylee had started talking to some guy. I don't know if it's a guy. And Jack, I'm going to say that. Yes, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say 93. Dylan advised that recently Kaylee had started talking to some guy, maybe the guy who's the suspect up here that she says might be involved, and that Jack seemed to be okay with it. Do you fucking see what's going on here? It seems to me that she's saying, hey, look, there might be a guy that might be involved. I thought things were good between her and Jack. I know that Kaylee was starting to talk to this guy who I'm thinking might be suspected, and Jack seemed okay with it. Was he though? Dylan offered her DNA. Sergeant Blaker secured a swab, and Dylan at the conclusion, she advised that it might be. Now listen to, fuck, this is it. This is blow my mind. They take a DNA swab from her, and then she says, She advised it might be difficult to locate the offender's DNA because they had conducted a deep clean of their residence. Oh my God. She advised it might be difficult to find the DNA of the killer because they had done a deep clean of the residence leading up to Parents' Weekend. When asked about when the deep cleaning of the residence occurred, it would have been before the weekend of the crimes. So Dylan, you're screwing up. 8-hour delay. Why is there an 8-hour delay? Many people have speculated. In fact, documents have come out that said there was evidence of a cleanup at the house after the murders. There was evidence of a cleanup, a latent shoe print. Someone tried to cover some shit up. There was evidence in the documents that there was evidence of a cleanup. Dylan says, by the way, it might be real hard to find the killer's DNA because we cleaned up the place. And the officers are like, when would you have cleaned up the place? Wouldn't that have been before the murders? Oh yeah, that would have been before the murders. My bad. So yeah, you probably should be able to find the DNA. Are you kidding me? Come on, people. Come on. Dylan just said you're going to have a hard time finding the killer's DNA. I might know him, but I don't want to ruin his reputation. I don't know if it's a him. It could be a female. I might know the killer. I might know their reputation. Yeah, it's a male. She said she heard a male's voice. I might know the killer. The killer might have spared me because he knows me. There might be somebody that Kaylee was seeing, somebody that Jack might not be okay with it. And you know what? You might have a hard time finding his DNA because we cleaned up the house. We cleaned up the house before the murders. Fuck. Lawyer. I am 100% certain. In my opinion, I'm 100% certain she knows what happened. She was involved. That's my gut, and I'm certain of it. But that's just me. When asked if she would... Okay, so then she was asked... She was advised that there was evidence left in the residence and that she sighed and said that she was glad to hear that there was evidence found at the scene. Listen to that. So they're saying, hey, we need a swab. And she's like, you might have a hard time finding the killer's DNA because we cleaned the house. And they're like, oh, by the way, we already found some of the DNA. And she's like, oh, that's good. Or is it like, fuck? Man, I'm telling you, I see this in my mind. They cleaned that shit up. She knew the killer. They cleaned up. They thought they had it all. And then the officer wants to call her punk card. Oh, by the way, we have some DNA at the scene. Oh, that's good. Is it though? Or are they trying to panic you? Because they're like, we do have their DNA. You know that, right? Yeah. I'm so happy to hear that. My ass. When asked if she would be able to provide a description to the police as a composite artist, she said she would not be able to describe enough of the suspect to be helpful. She further advised that the only thing she could remember about the face was his eyebrows were bushy. She advised that she was confused about why the officer would have taken the patio door out of the residence. The offender, not the officer. She advised she was confused about why the offender would have taken the patio door out the residence because of the drop-off of the patio. She advised she remembered that cars do come and go from the residence a lot. And she said there was a black truck driving past so-and-so's window. A black truck. Where the fuck? I am in the twilight zone. Am I stepping into the twilight zone? Fuck yeah, I am. All right. She saw a black truck driving past so-and-so's window, and she further said she was not absolutely certain it was a black truck, but there was a vehicle. Well, a white Elantra looks nothing like a fucking black truck, just to let you know, by the way. And then it went by the residence and she could see tail lights, but she did not remember if the headlights were on. But what drew her attention to it was the red lights on the back of the truck. And when asked if she meant brake lights, she said yes. When asked what, so, oh my God. There's another vehicle at the crime scene at the time of the murders leaving. She sees it leaving. Oh, by the way, I saw this black truck leaving the crime scene. No, it was only a white Elantra, bitch. You didn't see a black truck. Remember, you forget that shit. I don't know if you follow my logic. I'm being sarcastic with shit. I'm losing my mind. It's early in the morning. I need to get this shit done. It's been the longest video I think I've made in one swoop ever. She advised a friend of theirs and so-and-so's mother are planning a memorial event, and that had helped emotionally. She advised so-and-so is crying a lot over this. Bethany, I think. Bethany's crying a lot over this, but Dylan has not been crying, and blank has explained to her why she has not been showing emotions. She explained that So-and-so used the word disassociate to describe her emotions. It sounds to me like Dylan's not crying a whole lot about what's happening, because I think the fucking waterworks were a show later on. You better show some emotion on this, because people think that you were involved. You better put on a show at sentencing, because people are thinking you're really kind of devoid of emotion. You give zero fucks. You gave zero fucks your friends were killed. You gave zero fucks when everybody else was emotional. Why? Oh, wait a minute. Maybe that phone call. Oh, somebody died. I'm tired. I'm going to shut the fuck up. We're almost done. When she awakened that morning, so Bethany was next to her bed. They were both too scared to leave the room, so they or even go to the bathroom. She advised at approximately 11:23. She corrected the time to 10:23. So at 11:23, wait a minute, it was 10:23 Moscow time. She texted Maddie asking if she's up. At 11:29, she texted Kaylee, "Are you up?" And so on and so on. So they ended up calling the next door neighbors to come over and all these things. I'm going to kind of finish through this quick, because I'm absolutely fucking done. Your pieces on here. One, there's a potential Army Ranger, not Army Ranger, I keep saying that, Army Reserve, an Army Reserve person in their 20s, late 20s, 27-ish, same age as Koberger, maybe Kopacka, right around that age. Was he 30? I can't remember. There's all this talk about veterans involved that were there at the corner club. There's other suspects. She may have known somebody. The killer may have known her. That's probably why she was left alive. By the way, you might have a hard time finding her DNA, because we cleaned up. We cleaned up before the murders. There was a black truck leaving the place. No, there wasn't a black truck. It was a white truck, a white Elantra. Yeah, your shit stinks. I think that's it for now. There's probably a piece or two we're missing right there, but that's enough for now. An hour and 45 minutes, and I have lost my mind. I want you to sit and stew on that shit. For the record, one last time, none of these are allegations. I'm not telling you that Bethany was involved and holding exculpatory information to come back. I've said that's what I feel is the case, but I'm not saying it's a fact. Dylan Mortensen, I'm saying I feel knew what happened in that house and participated in it and even helped with the cleanup. And that seems to be evident to me, but by my feelings, interpreting the documents for myself. I'm not saying it happened that way, because I wasn't fucking there. And I'm not even sure Dylan was there. But the point being is I think the story makes sense to me more and more. There was a cleanup after that. Dylan knew what was happening. She knew the killer. She knew the killer knew her. That was a thing. That's why she knows she was spared, because she knew them. And there was a cleanup effort left over that she stumbled all over. And then she lawyered the fuck up. And again, I would lawyer up as well, especially if I were Dylan. Thanks for listening.